Hi everybody, today we will dive into Miro, and after this video you will be able to navigate, organize, create new assets inside Miro. So your brainstorming sessions, no matter if you're doing it yourself for deep thinking or together with a team, will become more efficient, and you will really see how awesome Miro is for frictionless brainstorming. It's an amazing whiteboarding tool that I used already back in big corporate, and we're still using it in the paperless movement, especially for our members who are laying out their ICOR frameworks, which is a template where you just put on your productivity tools to see your overall productivity system. That's one example. We also use Miro to create the business workflows, which is part of our Automation Like a Pro course. Our members really understand how their businesses are set up and running, identifying the friction points and things like that. Therefore, we also have Miro templates on the Miroverse that our members can use, and to use them effectively, it also makes just sense to have this video to give you really the basics and some tips and tricks that you might don't know even if you're not a seasoned Miro user, to help you guys to use Miro as efficient as possible. So without further ado, let's dive into this.
Paperless movement, your productivity, your way.
All right, here we are on a blank canvas, on a blank whiteboard, nothing is there, okay? So if I hold Alt or Command on Mac and use my mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out, all right? That's important. If you look at the percentage down there, you see it's changing. You can also change the zoom here, but obviously you're much faster zooming in and out. To give you a better perspective, I will bring in a simple shape here, and now let's zoom in and out. That's it, okay? So now I can also click here, I can zoom in and out. So now you see I'm moving it around. This is the right mouse button to move things around very quickly. And I'm using a mouse and a keyboard. Obviously there are specific uses for trackpad or your iPad versions, but here we are focusing on the mouse and keyboard usage. So what's key here now is that now you see we are on a 87% zoomed state. And I highly recommend to just simply click once on this button and it will zoom in to 100%. And then start building any whiteboard on this percentage. So what does this mean? If I, for example, write something in here and I zoom in and I think, okay, now I'm on 400%, and I think, no, that's too big. Let's start building something out there. And now you see the arrow is already big. I do another one. Okay, so now I click here, I'm 100, it becomes too small. So that's why building on 100% size makes all the sense. However, if you are stuck and you started in the wrong zoom, no worries. That's the beauty about Miro, the reorganization of anything that you have on your whiteboard. Now you saw I made this simple workflow here. I can select everything, grab here and make it just bigger in total. I also, when I have selected several parts, I have this symbol here that I can take, and now you see I can move things together. That's something I could also do this way, but then you see, then it's squeezing things together. So that's the big difference. Here it stays in a shape and it reorganizes my workflow. If you see something like this happening, you could use the arrows and bring them into the center. Just drag them into the center. So now it should work, but it's not, as I have to bring it here into the center as well. So instead of using any of the points around, drag it into the center. So now what happens? It's reorganizing the arrows as well. And I can now drag it out like this. But if I drag these out, see, now it doesn't matter where I move, the arrow follows the best position in order to have this connection. So when I select this again, it moves it downwards. I think that's a crucial, important point to understand to better reorganize your diagrams. Talking about organization of your diagrams or flowcharts, let's bring in a swim lane. Well, in fact, you can search for swim lanes, like a swim lane diagram in templates, but you just also could just add a table like this. Now let's bring it into the table. And now I can simply take this and drag it around and reorganize your whole thing. So let's bring this down here, for example. Now I can redrag this, see? Now it's flipping around my organization. So that's the beauty about swim lanes that we use in our business workflows as well, where we have in front the different people responsible for the process steps. And if we then consider, oh no, the whole thing actually should be reorganized, we can simply move things into a different slot. In general, it's easy to move things around this way, right? I also like the organization of this indicator. See, now I'm in the center of this box. That's really beautiful in Miro as well. I'm always in control of my boxes. So talking about these arrows, we can have more for editing. So let's say we are getting really complex. Obviously, there are more ways to create these additional connections. When I select this, you see the dots around this. Either I drag them out and do something, I just have the arrow, or I just click onto the dot, it will create a new box automatically. Same thing here, boom. And you see it already centers it as well. So now say, step 2. You see, this test became big because we increased the size in the beginning. That's why it's so important to stay on 100% size this way. If you ever lose contact to the content that you have here, you can zoom in and zoom out, and therefore it goes into 100% zoom in and zoom out, but it goes to the center. Also, you have this pin map thing here. So therefore, you see the bigger your whiteboard gets, you see full overview of your whiteboard. And by clicking into the minimap here, you can navigate to the points that we are. So let's copy this. I select everything, Command C, Command V. Now I copied the whole diagram. And now you see it's represented here in the minimap as well. So when I'm zooming in, you see now it shows me exactly what I see on the screen. If I want to go to the other one, I just click here and it goes up there. In order to keep things different now, let's reformat the stuff with different colors and different styles so we can differentiate the different swim lanes. So let's select these, and now you see we have selected multiple objects. Another powerful feature in Miro is now that I can make the drop down and say, just select the connection lines or the shapes. Let's just select the connection lines. Now I can update the visuals of all the connection lines in my selection. That's amazing. Instead of clicking on each arrow individually, this is really helpful too. So let's make dotted lines, makes them thicker, change the arrow type, give them a different color, and that's it. Now I can select again everything, select just the shapes. I can change the shape of all these, make all of them circles or squares, and change the font in all of these, right? And give them a background. Now we see already this is looking different than this one. So what we can do, we can select still everything. See, now I even selected the table. I can go to filter, and you see here, now I can just select the filter. I can lock the table, and now the table is locked. I cannot change anything on the table anymore. I cannot even click it. But I still can click things here and I can move things around, but it's not really interconnected with the table anymore. So therefore, when you want to unlock it, you select it again, long press to unlock, and that's it. Why would you use locking? Well, it's worth just bringing in a background here. As for backgrounds, it's perfect to use. Let's bring in this background. On my other screen, I have opened up the Finder where I just have my files, and I dragged and dropped this image file into Miro. This Miro is actually running on a browser, so I'm just accessing this on a browser and not as the native app, and it's amazing. I drag and drop it in, it's instantly available. Now you see this arrow showing up here in front while the rest is behind it, and this is happening because Miro works into layers. So therefore, if I right click now on the background, I can say send to back, and it will go all the way back. Now you see, well, I added a dark background. Let's quickly select everything, and I can now even go here and give it different styles. So I can get it my brand styling, but well, I want to update the colors. So let's go here, make the arrows, white. And now, you know, if I want to select it, you see I'm dragging around the background. So instead, I undo this. I select the background, right click and lock. Here we go. Or you use the icon, right? But it's here as well. Or you use Command Shift L to lock it. And now the background is locked. Now I can easily use the selection inside this locked background. So let's select everything. Let's use the shapes, make them white as well or green. Okay. Then for the, well, also for the shapes, we can change the color of the text. And for the table, we can change this now to green as well. And there we go. Now we can see things on the background. That's how you can quickly create something like a slide. But talking about slides, there's another feature in Miro that you should know about, which is frames. So here is the frames, or you just hit F on the keyboard and you get access to the frames. And the amazing thing is that you can have pre-made frame sizes. So let's zoom to 100%. Let's go to the frames and use the 16:9, which is the typical screen that you would use for presentations. Use this, and now you see it's in here. Okay, that's a frame. Let's remove the background for better visibility. So long press to unlock. Delete. Now everything is the wrong color again. Let's quickly do this back to black. So now when I drag this into the frame, it's locked into the frame. So this means when I use the frame, see, now I can drag around everything else without even selecting it. I just need to click on the frame and move the frame around. See, I'm not moving the whiteboard, I'm moving the frame. So that's really powerful here, especially if you want to create a slideshow. So when you select, double click on frame, you can say slide 1, for example. Then you have this icon down there where you can open up the frames. And now you see here's my frame, the slide. I click there, it zooms into the frame. I can go into a presentation mode, and now I see full screen the frame like you would do in a PowerPoint presentation. Still have full access to the navigation, and you see here already I can navigate through my frames. I can add emojis, you know, coming up. That's when you have live webinars and things like that. You can show the cursors of the other people on the slide, because in reality we are still just on our whiteboard. See, that was just a whiteboard. So let's go up to our other slide. That is on the very top here, you know, in a different place. Add another frame. We can do this as well by just selecting this, going to the 3 dots, and then say create frame. And it makes a frame around whatever you have there. However, you see now custom ratio, but I prefer to have the 16:9 to have the right ratio. And now let's name this slide 2. And there we go. If you go now here, you see we have the slide. So the amazing thing is I can drag this around. The order of my presentation I can do here. So by going to presentation now, here's my slide 1, I go to my slide 2, that's it. Or if you just want to stay on the whiteboard, you could simply just click here, it moves to the slide 1 and goes to the slide 2. That's amazing. If you want to prepare something for the team to discuss, you can just start throwing stuff into Miro, reorganize the things, and then start giving it a better organization and navigation on your whiteboard. Talking about navigation, there are even more options. Let's say that we have here step 2A. Okay, well, I'm not a fan of the yellow. Let's select everything, shapes, change the color to gray. Okay, so let's say we have step 2A and 1A here. And I want to say, well, step 2 is actually related to step 2A. Okay, so all you need to do, you select this box, right click, and you can say copy link, or you use this shortcut and copy the link, go back to step 2, right click and say link to. When you do this, now you can paste a link. You can also paste website URLs or anything else. But by doing this and you confirm it, you get this arrow here. And when I click on this, it moves to step A. Boom, I'm immediately there. So if I want to go back, I could add the same link back to the other one as well. So by doing this, you see it's zoomed in 400%. So you see here now By doing this, you can easily add navigation points on your map to navigate through your mind map or whatever you have, because these whiteboards can become huge. And when I do research, this is what I really love to use. We are using Heptabase as well inside the Paperless Movement for personal knowledge management. There is we go when we really have some text heavy stuff that we want to add on a whiteboard. That's something that you can do here as well, using, for example, cards. So you can have here a title, and when you then open up the card, you have here description, all the stuff that you can add. And that's nice, but it's no personal knowledge management. It's not giving you long-term insights. That's really something we are using Miro just for breaking up complex problems, finding out core structure. Usually we're starting from scratch whenever we start using Miro. It's not something that I refer back to, that I switch between different whiteboards. However, it's certainly possible. You can just use this link and have a master whiteboard and then link out to other whiteboards that you want to have there. You can build an amazing mind map there as well. So for teams, this is perfect to build this up. So you could have, for example, these things as SOPs and have them in here. However, we have our BCAM, our business knowledge management, which is right now in ClickUp, and therefore there are all the SOPs. This being said, I could link out to have the SOP here or the process step, and a description of this could link out to an SOP in a different system, like in ClickUp or Asana or Google Doc or whatever. Okay, so now well, these are just two different views, as you see. We can have it on a sidebar, we can have it in a center bar, and then we have the card here, and this is something where you can add more text. Well, you can use cards for a lot more. Those are usually the things where you can have integration with external tools. You see, for example, here, Jira is an integration where you can connect and two-way synchronize the statuses of different tasks. You can add a status here and say in progress. You can give it a tag. You can assign people here, and you can, add a link. So many things that we usually don't use, but you could do. Miro, they are planning to give a huge update in July. Let's see what comes out there. Maybe they're going more into project management as well. But for now, that's not what we use. Let's focus on how to leverage Miro for brainstorming, so you are highly efficient and fast when you're working inside Miro. So here on the side, you have a lot more options there. You have the post-its, by the way. If you're doing a lot of handwritten post-its that you put on a whiteboard and you discuss with the team, there's a feature that you can actually make a picture of this, and it converts it into post-its here inside Miro. Obviously, now with the new AI, they even have more options here. So when I select these and I go to the assistant, I can say summarize, ask me anything. There are also options to create post-its out of a content and so on. I'm not going too deep into AI. If you want to learn more about this, let me know in the comments below. I will make a separate video, but I really want to focus on the navigation and organization in this beginner's course here. So let's say you now have a session where you had brainstorming and people were adding all these post-its left and right, and let's make this and let's change the colors of this, and you try to make some sense of the colors. So now instead of trying to order these things into place, you can just select everything, go here, cluster object, and say by color. Boom. Isn't this amazing? Now you can give this even a name, and now you categorize these things into the different clusters for these items. I think this is really amazing if you're a team and this brainstorming suddenly gives all the sense. You can also cluster this by more things, as you have seen here, by a tag, author, keywords, and sentiment. So we can go here and see, now it recognized the same keywords that we have in place, and it clusters it this way. Now let's see what else we have. And sentiment, which is the feeling. So therefore you see it considers this being positive and this being negative. Obviously, how should you know? But these sessions where people just share their opinions, they write a lot more on these post-its, and this is the way how you would then be able to leverage the system inside Miro. I think it's really amazing. Another thing I want just to talk about is here something very important. The diagram shapes are there as well. That's something we use to lay out the business processes for our members in a paperless movement, and you can use them the same way as you do use any other shapes. However, those are the standard diagram items that you would use to lay these out properly. All right, so talking about organization, let's select all these, and you have this icon again, and boom. Now I have them all in order. I can make very quickly adjustments this way. I can resize everything. That's really, really useful. You probably know that you can make two type of cards, rectangular or post-its, convert them into other boxes and so on. Well, there's a lot of things. You can have other alignments of the objects, which makes no sense right there. That's why I really prefer this here to organize the stuff perfectly. That's that. Let's create a frame quickly, and this is it. Now we have already 3 slides to present that we can easily navigate through later on. So another advantage of having a frame, you can select this and hide it. So we hide the frame. So you see it's now hidden. And what is the advantage of this? Well, if this is something you don't want your members or your team members or webinar attendees to see, right? So therefore you can navigate through this, or the people are free to navigate through all this, but they cannot unlock this frame. This is only you being able to unlock this as the admin or the people you give host access. And then you can suddenly unlock this. Maybe you have prepared something like post-its where they can now go there and add things. And until then, you just lock this down. That's really useful as well. So I could add this now to the activity list and see now, okay, these are the activities that we want to do. We can give this a voting, right? So people are then able to vote. Well, the options are endless. Again, if you want to learn more about all these features that you can do during a webinar, let me know in the comments below. Let's go back to our navigation here and see what else we can do with the arrows actually. Let's select this again. Let's just select the arrows, and now let's change the style from this to this. So, you know, there's the only thing that you see changing is here. And then it happens when you select this, that you get a lot of additional junctions going on. So if you have something like this happening, it's no problem at all. You just double click on the dot here. Boom, boom, boom. And now I have it again all. I can even remove this one. Boom. And another thing is, maybe sometimes I don't want to end in the center, so I can navigate here and now it's on the side. That's especially the case if I want to get 2 arrows in there, and then it's happening like this. Another option that we now have is, if we do something like this, we have now the option to add the overlap. So when I select now all arrows, or just these 2 arrows, by holding shift you can select several objects. I go to line type and you go to line jumps. Now you see, boom, it indicates the line jump. It's so professional. Whenever you do proper diagrams, they look really beautiful in the meantime. I also like that we have our personal fonts now, so we can really have our branding coming through for any session that we have. Another thing is that when you are stuck in a, see how it's jumping around the arrow, and I just want to point inside there somehow, and it stucks there and it sticks to the grid and things like that. Just hold Command, and now I can freely navigate this thing around. The jumping around just happens because the arrow is connected here to the center. So see, again, I have the problem. I don't want to have it there. Just hold down Command or Alt on your Windows, and now I can freely position this arrow inside my diagram. See, now I can say boom, and then I can add this. Another amazing thing that I want to share with you is very powerful, is adding images to your whiteboard. And therefore, let's bring the Miro logo in. We have here, it's just an image. Boom, it brings in the image, and that's it. And now let's say, oh, I don't want to have it. Well, first of all, I make it smaller, but I also don't want to have this rounded corner or whatever. All you need to do is double click on the image that you just imported, and now you can freely crop the image. And that's it. Boom. Now I have this. Obviously now we have also the feature to remove the background. You see now it messed up my lane here. So I can take this out and I can just simply move this back up. And now I can drag this in. So that's something you see when I bring this in, it auto resizes the cells for whatever I bring in here. Again, if you hold down Command, now you can just simply place this here without any reorganization of the cells. Again, if I do this, it resizes the cells, and that's that. Quickly about the zoom. If I would have created this in a 400 zoom stage, for example, so if I zoomed out, right, and I would have created all this in a smaller size, so 18% down here, 19. I make all this bigger. Now you see there's an example here that the icon here suddenly becomes bigger. So the more I zoom out, so it seems they optimized it. It was worse in the past, but you see the difference. The more I zoom in, the smaller the thing is. So it's really changing, and that's where things are really getting messed up. So that's why I always recommend trying to build on a 100% zoomed in stage, so it makes all the sense, and then you have it properly there. Another way to easily zoom in and navigate when you're presenting when you want to show things, you just select any icon here, all right, and then you just hit Option 2 and you zoom in. So Option 2 on Mac is just zooming into any place that you want. So if I select a few things and I hit Option 2, see, it zooms into this place. And that's really useful to quickly navigate to certain things that you want to show using your keyboard. If you want to zoom out and show the whole map, you just use Option 1 and it zooms out and it shows you the whole map. But be aware, if we move anything across the whole map here, and you are here and you hit Option 1, it will zoom out to just show you the whole whiteboard. I think it's really useful if you get lost, if things are all over the place, to get an overview. So again, Option 1 to show the whole map, Option 2 to zoom into a specific object. So quickly, let's go through the options of the whiteboard as well to see what else is going on. So we have here in the board view, okay, let's go to the view option here. So when you go on top, you click here, you can change the name of the board. Here you have now the options, and here in the view, you have the grid. So I could remove the grid from the background. I can give it a line grid, a dotted grid, and I can snap to grid. So now it's really attaching to the grid. Again, if you hold down Command, I can still freely navigate, but this snapping is really useful if you want to build in specific distances the different grid sizes. I can give the object dimensions. Also, something I really like is whenever I reach a specific size, so as we have the grid on, it's now a bit difficult, but here you see we have 64 and all the other objects down there show this is the same size as this object now. So I know exactly, without even comparing it, okay, now I reached exactly the same size. I think this is really, really useful as well. Then, well, I don't like scroll bars at all. We can remove the comments and the collaborator cursors. We can go full screen. Here, this is the whenever it detected it wrong. You can manually select if you're using a mouse or a trackpad. And we can change the background color of the board here. So if you don't like the gray, we can do this. So, you know, for the whole session, you know that you're on a specific board. You can do it this way. I like the light gray, so I really know what are my slides. That's why I'm using this most of the time. Another thing is that I can set a start view. So whenever people enter the board, which is usually also the preview, they will go to this board. So if I go out now and I click here for new viewers, they will zoom into this place. I will be just there where I left off the whole thing. It's really amazing that you have the whole board history here. So whenever you made some wrong edits, you can just revert this back to different places. So you see here, whenever I did this, you can scroll into it moves to the position where this was. And here I'm even able to revert and restore it back to a specific moment in time. So you see everything is still available, but I can get back the thing that was deleted. Okay, so here, boom, that was the cluster. But still everything else remains the same. It's not like that we are doing undo to get to the point, and that's really useful if if you accidentally deleted something that you might need later on. That's why the activity is here very important. All right, everyone, I really hope this was useful to get you started with Miro. I think these are the essential features that you need to know whenever you start using Miro. A lot of members who are joining the Paperless Movement membership, going through the courses, they will know how awesome Miro is. Obviously, they can use any other whiteboarding tool as well to go through our courses, but this is what we use also for our inner circle members. I can quickly show you how we leverage this. So for example, here we are talking with our inner circle members about the productivity systems, going into detail, explaining exactly how they work. We bring in our magic slides that we can always refer back to these things. And this is where we really leverage Miro to the maximum in our inner circle coaching sessions, where Paco and I help other busy professionals to build a highly effective productivity system just within 1 month. If you're interested to level up your overall productivity system, then check out the Paperless Movement membership. In there, there's also another Miro course that goes even into more detail, where I show my brainstorming sessions about YouTube and other things. But also you will have access to the ICOR journey that helps you to build your productivity system, improve your productivity system to the maximum as a busy professional in your work life. And you will also be able to ask any questions around Miro or anything else that you might have challenges with in your work life. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up next time.